Well, good morning. I'd like to invite you to Barb Cards, and I'm going to go over some terminology of what is a junk journal and all the jargon. I'm going to turn my camera around and I'm going to put it on my ring light. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you can see everything. I am a crafter. I am not trying to make money, unless you want to send me money, but it's not that at all. When I got started in crafting, I first started making cards. Well, cards wasn't enough. My desire to create something was stronger than just making cards. So here's a card. I started with making cards. And then it slowly moved to pocket letters. These are some of the first pocket letters that I exchanged with people. A pocket letter was very interesting to me because I wanted to share what I made. So I started with a pocket letter, and a pocket letter is like a pen pal, and you make little cards that fit in a baseball package. You make these little cards and you put them in, and then behind the card you send specific things. Well, in this pocket letter, it still has some of the stuff in it. So here there's some clothespins and some flowers and some buttons, a couple of little notes, and some rhinestone sticky things, some bees, some flowers, a butterfly, other things I can use. And the maker of this also sends a letter. That one didn't have a letter. Here is where you would put a letter. I made this. This was mine, and I made it for myself, just as an example of how to make a pocket letter. I used a farm on this side. I didn't add any or decorate anything. It was just a piece of paper that looked like a farm. And so behind it, this is where you would put your letter right here. There's some ribbon and washi tape. And how about a T and some little mason jars that could be used, and some more ribbon and buttons and charms, some cutouts of pigs and some tags with cows. That is what pocket letter is. It's a pen pal that you have. This one has a letter, and the letter explains a little bit about the person sending this. Some of these things were just so adorable, I never took out the stuff and made stuff with it. I just kept it. Well, that led these pocket letters, and I have two big full binders full of these. This is a little extra that I have. Well, that led to me to make ATCs, artist trading cards. These are made by other people who I've traded with, and you collect them like you collect baseball cards. So these are just some of them, and some of them the person will also, like for example this one, they also sent little goodies to use as well, which, like I said, I didn't use. So artist trading card, or ATC is one of the terminology that is used. This was a pocket letter, a half a pocket letter, or a part of a pocket letter. And as I'm learning in creating, I've done this for I don't know how many years now, I began to want to expand my knowledge. I craved, I want more and more and more. So it moved into inches, they call them inchies and twinchies. I believe this is a twinchie. I don't have a collection. I stopped at one or two. I started making twinchies. I have a collection up here as well. Someone made me a book of twinchies, and I turned around and I liked the book so much that I created a couple of more books of twinchies. Now, twinchies can be used. This was before I found junk journals, which I'm having a hard time here trying to get it out. Okay, this is a book. The person didn't put their name on it, but there's twinchies on the front. There was a decoration also, but the book opens up and you have all these twinchies. Twinchies can be used, and I will show you in a minute. But I made several more books of these, so I have books and books of twinchies because, like I said, I wanted to continue to build my knowledge on craft. I just was falling in love with paper crafts. Then it just kind of led me to the groups on Facebook, and there are so many groups. And I came across junk journal. I was like, what's a junk journal? I didn't know, and I probably still don't really know, but what I've learned, I'd like to share. I've learned that a junk journal can be just about any book. This is a current one that I'm working on. A junk journal can be a recycled or upcycled or altered book. There's an altered book. This is an altered book. There's a glue book. There's a traveler's notebook. I believe a traveler's notebook is one that is made soft that you can carry along like you're traveling. They're like this. This is a traveler's notebook. And a junk journal consists of a signature, which is a group of pages. This is not a very well. It's a good it's a good junk journal, but it doesn't show. Okay, this is a signature inside of a traveler's notebook. They call it a traveler's notebook because it can fit in a briefcase or a bag and you can travel with it. And a signature is a group of pages that are stitched into any journal. So it's usually hand stitched. And that is a junk journal. Junk journals started years and years and years ago. They originally were a book that was created by women in the household who wanted to save their receipts and their memorabilia and the like in a book so they could keep track. Well, that evolved into a scrapbook. And when I started scrapbooking, I was 15 years old. I should have brought that out. That would have been so cool. I have a scrapbook with the flat pages, and the scrapbook carried all my memorabilia. I have pictures of Janie C. Riley, and they were in concerts. There are concert tickets. There's little love letters from boys in my high school. There's my ribbons from track and field. Just all my memories were in the scrapbook. And that scrapbook then evolved, well, a cookbook is also related to a junk journal because we were saving recipes, and that evolved into a cookbook. Well, the scrapbook evolved into saving your photos, and it became a photo book where you could put your pictures in magnetically. And then we realized that magnets were ruining our photos. So then they just made where you could slide your pictures in and out. Well, that mashed together with the memorabilia, and scrapbooking became with pictures and memorabilia, and you write your story, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Well, then people, I don't know who started, but the junk journal became popular, and it's still growing right now because you can take what you love, vintage papers, vintage music papers, fabric scraps, envelopes, tags, library cards. You can mix and combine doilies. Here's the fabric. You can use paper scraps, pretty papers, digitals, receipts. And it's bigger and bigger. You can use everything, candy papers, bingo papers, receipts. Everything can be used. And so it's most people would just throw this in the trash. But now we're making pretty stuff with it. And you can use it for the exact same things that they've always used it for. You can put recipes in it. You can put photos in it. You can put memorabilia in it. You can put your story in it. You can recycle clothing tags, paper bags, book pages, postcards, packaging. It can either be pretty or art. You can just put art in it, or you're crafting in it, or you can make it for writing. You can add pockets, tucks, side pockets, belly bands, journal spots. And the whole point of it is just to enjoy the process. So along the way, I found Margaret Miller. Today I remember her name. And Margaret Miller, I don't know who she is or what her idea was about, but Margaret Miller every year has a program or a plan, and I think somebody pays for it, and they give out prompts, and it goes from one day to day 52. There's 52 weeks in a year. So every week you create a collage, and a collage is a word that we use. And I'm sure as a child you did collage in school with whatever you wanted. And Margaret Miller, I believe that's her name, gave these prompts, and you would collage a page. You could add to this, but the majority of this right here would be to find these items and collage them on a page. And I tried it for 1 year. It helped me learn a lot about how to collage, that it looks eye appealing and not just like a child threw it together. It's eye appealing. generally speaking, they're very, I don't know what I want to say here, but they're not just thrown on a page. There's a difference between having a collage that's eye appealing, and let's just say I'm going to put on another page, we're going to create a page that's not so eye appealing. This is, let's say the prompt is lined paper, a key, something orange, a bingo card, and ribbon. Now that's not very eye appealing at all. Not at all. But when you go and learn these things, you can learn how to make it to where you actually can make it attractive to the person who is looking at it, and that person can be you, and it doesn't look childish or just thrown together. That's a different way to look at it, and it looks a little bit more eye appealing. So learning how to collage is really the basis for most everything that is in junk journals, because it requires a lot of layering. Now I'm going to go through a little bit of the terminology. There's also a lap book, which I do not have. A lap book is a book that opens like a trifold. What's a trifold? A trifold opens 3 ways. That would be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This one has 4, but it's still similar to a trifold. And a lap book, you would put it in your lap, open it, trifold. You'd have like a calendar. You could put a calendar in there. You put whatever you want in the middle. And that's a lap book. It has 3 specific sections to work in. Then there is, let me see some of my words I got here. What is ephemera? That is a common word that's used in junk journaling. Ephemera is very similar to the word memorabilia. Memorabilia is papers and things that you would use to keep your memories, but they're enhanced. A lot of times they're enhanced. And what do I mean by enhanced? You can have a receipt and you could just put it in your junk journal, or you can decorate it. And by decorating, I mean, embellish it. Embellish. Well, that's another word. Embellish is the same terminology as decorate. Okay, decorate, embellish. Embellishments are things like, let me see here. This is an embellishment. I handmade this embellishment. But what it does is it embellishes the object that it's on. Most of the terminology in junk journaling is really self-explanatory once you figure it out. And you got to laugh at yourself when you find out that, oh, they mean what they say. So, okay, we have ephemera, tickets, receipts, thank you notes, cards, letters, tags. All of it can be used in the junk journal. Embellishments are things that they embellish. They make it look beautiful. The papers that you can use in a junk journal, like I said, they can be vintage book pages. But you know what? If you can't find vintage book pages, you can find any book pages and use them. Vintage means anything that's 20 years or older is vintage. Antique is 100 years or older. So if you find a book and it's 20 years old, you found a vintage book. Edith Holden is an author of The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. Edith Holden became very popular, and her books, if you can find them, amazing. I have yet to tear a page out of this book because I just found it. If I want to use this, I think I'm going to photocopy. But she became popular due to her illustrations. She has very, very beautiful illustrations in her book. And people have taken her book and have created beautiful embellishments for their junk journals. They have made junk journals specifically for that out of her book. I have yet to tear a page out of here. I don't know what it is. I just haven't done it. There is also something called a snippet. There's a snippet roll. There's paper. This is mine, and you can make them any way you like. This is a snippet roll that I made out of paper. You can also make a snippet roll out of paper using whatever you have, because whatever you have is good enough. We shouldn't have to go out and buy anything for a junk journal. Most junk journalists that I've learned use what they have. A lot of people go out and buy and buy and buy. Well, I kind of was on that bandwagon for a while, and I realized, you know what, I don't need none of this stuff, but I want it to look like some of that stuff. So if you want it to look like some of that stuff, then, you go out and buy. But a snippet roll, you can continue to add and decorate to on any way you like. But the reason why it's called, you can use any papers. These are mini papers that are called ephemera that are digitally printed, and you can find them out on the market. You can collect them or however, but if you have them, they make a great snippet. The reason it's called a snippet roll, and this is a fabric and lace snippet roll, the reason they call it a snippet roll is not for any other reason, but you can cut it and use a snippet of it. This is a snippet of that piece that I use to decorate this journal with. A snippet. What is a pocket? A pocket is just that. It's something inside your journal. The pocket can be made any way you like it, and it contains usually a tag or a journal card. This is a journal card that can be written. You can write, you can journal on it. Journal card. Normally, it doesn't matter what size they are. That's a journal card. This is a different pocket, and in this pocket, I put a digital, the pie and the clock poem, and that's just in here because I thought it was a cute poem. And no, I'm not going to read it to you. So that's in there. I wanted to show you this other book that I have over here. I have a lot of little books that I'm working in at the same time because that's what I do. This one is specifically, here we go, the silverware, or yeah, the utensils that you get at, this was from Cracker Barrel, and I cut it in half and I created a flip out pocket. The pocket carries a hidden journal card. It's hidden because it is in there hiding. Flip out, you can journal in there. These are pockets, but they're also flip out. Okay, so that's some of the words. There's another terminology that you can use. It's called a tip in. Flip out, tip in. A tip in is basically, and a lot of the tip ins are used in Bible journaling. They you create a page that reflects the verse that you're talking about, and you glue the edge of it and you put the tip in. So when you open the page, it's just a slightly added page to your Bible verse. So that's called a tip in. I know some of these words are just really funny. Let's see what I have. What is a cluster? A cluster in the dictionary is just a bunch of stuff put together, right? Well, in here I do have a cluster of strips that is also this cluster can also be used as a tuck spot to tuck something in. A tuck spot is anywhere that you can tuck something into. I have another tuck spot here. This is a tuck spot. Basically, a tuck spot is 3 corners instead of 4. Two corners instead of 3. 3 corners would make a pocket, or yeah. 2 corners is a tuck spot. So that is a tuck spot. I think that makes sense. We also have a fabric sampler, and this is a fabric sampler. It's a sampler. It's just a small file folder piece that has been used to show a bunch of different fabrics that the maker finds attractive. Now, if you were a maker of a quilt or something like that, you could put your samples and then you could put your story on the back of what these pieces represent for you. I'm not a quilter, but I like that. So it's going to be tuck in here. This is a tuck spot. If I was to close this in, it would become a pocket. Tuck spot and pocket. This is, here I put a tip in. I haven't glued it in, but it's in there. The other thing about a junk journal is that you can use things that are torn. Doesn't have to be perfect. The edges can be raw. You can use coffee filters, doilies, anything that you love can be put into the book that you are making. The one rule about junk journals is there is no rules. It's your creative space to put in your ideas, your craftiness. You just need to live in your own head for a minute and try to create something that you just love. It doesn't have to be for anyone else, but after you make your first one and you just love it so much, you might want to give it away. You might want to show people what you made, and then they'll ask you, well, what do you use it for? Well, you can use it for whatever you want. I have one that I used when I traveled. I made a beach traveled, and I put my little everything, all the memorabilia I collected. I created a journal, and that too is not available. It just popped in my head right now. But that's what you can do. Now, there's another term called a masterboard. A masterboard, what is a masterboard? And why do we make them? Okay, a masterboard is a piece of paper that you don't really care for. You don't find it attractive whatsoever. Most of the time, we use a 12 by 12 paper that we don't find attractive. If you turn it over, you can mark it on how you would like to cut it. When you cut it, you can cut it in journals, pockets, envelopes, tags. However you design it, you can cut it. On the side that you don't particularly care for, you can collage on it. I have a few samples here. I have received a painted masterboard, and this actually has two pieces of painted masterboard. I thought those were just so pretty, but they can be on the back. I can mark them on how I would cut them as a tag, and I could cut these as a tag. A tag is just that. It's a journal spot. On the front, you would have this pretty design here, but I could add anything I want to it to distract what is here. Okay. Anyway, this is a painted masterboard. There's also ones that you can use with paper. And imagine, if you will, that this is connected and it has a big piece. You don't necessarily have to start with a 12 by 12. It can be an 8.5 by 11, a 6 by 6, 6 by 8, whatever page that you have. You just put a collection or a collage of paper on your masterboard, and then it can be cut to reflect anything you want it to be. And let's just say you have this and you've cut it and you want it to be a journal card, but it doesn't quite meet your idea of what you want on your journal card. Well, you can continue to decorate this so it becomes what you want it to reflect. And a word, a sentiment on there is always wonderful. And here's a sentiment. And then you can use this as a journal card. On the back is where you would journal. So that's what a masterboard is. We have things, I was going on what a cluster is, right? A cluster is just a conglomeration of stuff. And someone sent me recently some of these cute little squares. I haven't done anything with them yet, but these are a 2 by 2 square. These would make excellent clusters. Fabric cluster. A fabric cluster is a square. Can be like this, but you can add things to it. I can add more. I can just put it anywhere. She sent me these. It was amazing. I was like, wow, you sent me these clusters that are not clusters yet. Wonderful. I appreciate that. So I saw this and I was very pleased. But like I said, I didn't do anything with it. You can add tags. You can add, come here, stars. You can add flowers. This is stuff I'm finding on my desk. Flowers and stars. You can add anything, a ticket, and just embellish what you want. And that makes, it's a cluster. Most clusters begin with three items. And it doesn't have to stop at three, but you don't really want to go less than three. So this is not a cluster, and two is a pair. So three would be a cluster, and we'll have a cluster like that. Okay, so these are clusters. You can sew them together. You can glue them together. You can do whatever you want with them. They are yours to do however you want. Easy way to collect stuff is to, when you buy clothes or anything, they come with tags. It's easy to take a tag like this and just cover it up. And then you have tags without having to go and buy anything at any store. You have a tag and it already has a string attached. Most of them have this little plastic, but it still works. So there's those ideas. This is a tag. Tag. What is a tag? I'm going to go back to this. This is a really cute tag because it has a pocket tag. Not all tags have pockets, but this is a pocket tag. This is a tag. And this is a tag. And then I have in this journal, I have these. This is a floating tag. What do you mean it's floating? It doesn't look like it's floating. Well, it's paper clipped onto a page. Because it's paper clipped, if I'm working in my journal and that isn't exactly where I want it, I can move it. And once I move it, it has floated from one page to the other, making it a floating tag. That is what tags are. There is a mini journal. This mini journal was given to me. It has a dangle. A dangle is anything that can dangle off of another item. This has this kind of dangle. This has a little dangle right here. There's nothing on this one, but you can add a charm to it, a button. You can add add a piece of sewing thread. As long as it dangles, that's a dangle. So back to this little book that I have here that I was given. It's like an ephemera folder. It has a receipt, has this pretty dangle, has a tag in it, a paid receipt. It has an envelope in it with some pretty flowers. And it's included inside a belly band. Another word that we wonder, what is a belly band? This is a belly band. It's a strip of paper from the top to the bottom, glued at the bottom, glued at the top, that you can put anything behind. It's in the belly of the page. Therefore, it's a belly band. And this is an ephemera holder with a lot of cute ephemera. And it was so cute with this little fabric, I didn't want to take it off. And I believe in doing this, whoever gets this book or decides, or whatever this book is, that ephemera in there can be used inside this book. I'm going to add all kinds of things in here that people give me that I want to use in here. It is important to me to keep and use the things that I'm given. So, okay, next. What's a file folder? Well, you know what a file folder is. A file folder is something you use in your files for taxes and all your collections, but there also can be used to create file folder journal with journal pages in it. It can be used to create library card pockets. It can be used to make anything that you want to put inside. It can be used to make dangles. This is a heart dangle with some lace. This dangle can be put in any pocket. It can be put on the front of a book. It can be used anywhere. This is a dangle. Anything that dangles off of anything is a dangle. Here's a pin with a dangle. This is someone made that. I like it. There is a flag here with a dangle on it. It's a dangle because it's dangling. So that's another terminology. What else do we have? A crocodile. What is a crocodile? And I can give you a basic definition, or I can give you I'll just show you what a crocodile is. This is the basic crocodile. I'm sure there's other ones out there, but this one is one that I have. You don't have to go out and buy this, but if you want to add eyelets to your projects for dangles, you might want to consider I got the most simplest one because I found it to be very easy to use, and I'm going to make this my sample. So I want to use this, and I'm going to use this side. Okay, this side has I'm going to say it has how big it is, a 1/8 inch hole that is found right here. This has a 3/16 hole, and that states so right there. They don't give you the directions, but on mine, I have, since it needs to be redone, the 3/16 needs to have A1. I'll explain that. The 1/8 has to have a C3. Now that I've made it so I can see it better, I can show you. In here, there's a spinning square. At the very corner of the spinning square, this says 3. That's what it says, 3 for this hole. So you make that 3 face the center and push it back inside so the 3 is facing in the inside. On the opposite side, you have also another spinning square, and that one is a 3, and this one says C. So C3, C3. So that means if I'm going to use what's in here, then I use this hole. Punch a hole. I have a very small hole in there. I'm going to take a very small eyelet, and these, when you go out and buy them, they tell you what they are, how big they are. There's some eyelets out there that are cheesy and they fall apart the minute you squeeze them. If you try and stick with We Are Memory Keepers, you probably have a better bet that they're going to work well. Some of these eyelets are memory keepers, but some of them have been given to me in all the swaps that we do. And I don't know what they are. So your guess is as good as mine. But you take the one side, there is a pointy side. You take that pointy side and you put it at the top and you push your card up into the nail. Then you squeeze your maker and it flattens the back of it. So that's how you use a crocodile. And when you have a crocodile and you've used a hole, you don't have to put anything in it if you don't want. But for general purposes here, we're going to put something in that hole. I have some pre-made bulb pins. What's a bulb pin? Oh, that's a good question. I will get to you. And this bulb pin, let's see. Most of the time when you put your bulb pins in, you have to put them in from the back side. It depends on how you put your charm on there. And I always seem to do it backwards. So there we go. There's a charm. This is a charm that actually fell apart. So it doesn't look 100%, but hey, it's on there. That's the nice part about junk journaling. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, a bulb pin. I don't know if you can see that one. Let's get a dark one. This is a bulb pin or a fabric pin. They call a bulb because there's a bulb on it. It looks like a light bulb. Simple, right? They're used in junk journaling for dangles. They're used for decorations, like on that tag I had over here a minute ago. They're just used for whatever you want to use them for. There's also safety pins, on this hole here. You can actually put a safety pin through it, and it can also become a dangle. Safety pins are widely used in junk journaling as decorations. Safety pins, anything is used. You can use anything in junk journaling. When I say anything, I mean anything. In fact, some of the recent discoveries that I have found is one of the things that I never thought I would use would be the fibers that come off of your fabric when you tear it. What? We don't waste a thing. In fact, my children laugh at me all the time because, Mom, you don't throw anything away. I know, but I do. I do throw a lot away. But if I can figure out how to use it, I am not going to throw it away. So here is a cluster of fabric. I don't know if you can see it, but when you put it behind another object, it gives it a texture, right? So nothing becomes trash. Everything becomes something beautiful. And out of I really like that. I might use that somewhere. Another word we have is called altered. Altered, okay? You can alter anything. Anything. I took a little box that jewelry came in, and I altered it. I turned it into something pretty, and I get wax melts. People send me wax melts. I put them in there, but I've decorated it. I put little wooden balls. I just decorated it, and it's now an altered box. You can alter anything. Did I say anything? Yes, I said anything. Tongue depressors, buttons can be altered. They can become flowers. I have altered buttons up there. I did have this very good friend of mine who did a swap with me. Let me see if I can reach this item over here. Probably cannot. I'm going to have to walk over there and get it. Hold on a second. I can't wait to show you this altered project. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, this is an altered 3D project. I have a friend. I really like all of her work. She altered a spool of thread. There's a penny on the bottom of it, and a flower, and a spool, and butterfly wings. She made me a little fairy. Isn't that just adorable? You can alter anything and make it your art. Your art is yours. You can create a journal for just your art. Enjoy the process. We have paper clips we alter. We alter, where's that other paper clip? Oh, I put it in a book somewhere. Altered paper clips. There's hidden paper clips, which I know I put it in this book because I was trying to do a live yesterday and it didn't work. So this is a hidden paper clip. You don't see a paper clip on either side. There's just a paper clip, but it can be used as a tuck spot to tuck something inside. Yet it's a paper clip. So that can be a paper clip. Anything can be turned into a paper clip. I know there's another one in here. Where is it? Maybe I put it up here. I don't know. Paper clips. Not that paper clip. Anyway, such is that. If there's any other terminology that I didn't get to, oh yes, there's one. Something called fussy cutting. What is fussy cutting? Fussy cutting is when you take an image of some kind and you cut it exactly on the line. So you have cut it exactly on the line where there's no white space left after you cut it. You see that? Can you see that right there? That has been fussy cut. When you kiss cut, you leave a little white space around what you have cut. That's called kiss cutting. The easiest way to do something is to kiss cut it, because you can always take your ink and brush it and make that part disappear. Whereas on the fussy cut, you don't need to. So it depends on how close you want to cut it and what you want your image to look like. Fussy cut or kiss cutting. Which brings me to the word distressed. How do you distress an object or an ephemera or something? I'm gonna use this little tag because it doesn't look like it's distressed. And I have Stampin' Up! Retired ink color. called Soft Suede. And I'm going to ink the edges like that. And once I ink the edges, it becomes a little bit more pronounced, you see? And when a paper, if you do it on paper, this one has this stuff all on it already. This page looks distressed. It looks like it's getting old. But I want to make it more distressed. I add more of the edges to be like, you know, I add more of this color. Now, a lot of people use Tim Holtz paints or inks. I use what I got. I have Stampin' Up! Because I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, a hobbyist. Anyways, you can add distress to your projects very easy with ink. When you do that, it looks more old or distressed. If you look up the word distress, you'll understand why they call it distressed. Then you have a variety of styles. You can have a boho. I'm sure if you decorate your house, you know what boho is. There's vintage style, 20 years or older. My home is vintage style because I haven't changed it since I've moved in here, and it's been over 20 years. So my home is vintage. Plus, I collect older things from the 70s and 80s, so it's a vintage home. A lot of people have lace and things that they get that they add to their books called vintage lace. That just means it's at least 20 years old. Vintage papers, book pages. You can use anything, like I said. I have made printing paper look old by adding coffee dye to it. I have some papers in here that I probably just printed recently. I'm sure, if you can find graph paper is hard to find. I know there's paper in here that I just printed. There's a book page, and I'm sure it's not old. There's some digital papers, pretty papers. There. This one is from 2024. So you can mix old and new. Anyhow, if there is a word that I didn't cover that you don't understand, it's okay to message me, and I will do my best to answer what I know. If I don't know, I can look it up for you. Anyhow, this is Barbara at Barb Cards, and I appreciate you watching my video. Hope you have a great day. Bye now.